Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 63. We are now heading into the second half of our show, which is when we watch submissions tier members clips. What happens is, if you're a submissions tier member of the channel, you post up 2 clips a week into a playlist, or a post on the community tab of this channel, and I put them into a playlist, and we just hit, bloop, random, okay? So here we go. We're just going to start playing these now and see how many we get through. Actually, we have about 13 videos, and they're of various lengths, so we may or may not get through all of these in the next 90 minutes, but we'll find out. All right, so if you're interested in becoming someone who submits clips that might make the show, become a submissions tier member, and you have the same chance as everybody else. Now, if you become a ultra member, those are guaranteed to be watched, but of course, that's a higher tier of support. So, all right, here we go. 10 Korean food you must try. This will be interesting. Recently, I have tried some Korean foods from a restaurant that does certain dishes. Like bibimbap I had, as well as bulgogi. So let's see what else they recommend. Rockstar Eater.
What's up, everyone? This is Steve with Rockstar Eater, and in this unique episode, I'm going to be talking about 10 of the must-try dishes that you must have if you were to go to any authentic Korean restaurant.
That's bizarre. It's mono.
Now, this is designed to be a beginner's guide for those who have never really had Korean food.
And it's 4 years old. He didn't do stereo audio 4 years ago? What the hell?
Before. Or maybe you've had Korean food before, but then you've walked into a Korean barbecue restaurant, had some of the short ribs as well as the beef brisket, and maybe even some kimchi and some rice and some of those side dishes that they give you at a Korean barbecue restaurant. But then other than that, you don't really know what Korean food is. And like I said, this video is designed to help you so that if you were to walk into a Korean restaurant, let's say a non-barbecue restaurant.
Okay, let's get to the foods.
Number 1, manduguk.
Whoa.
Manduguk is dumpling soup that's boiled in a beef broth, and sometimes it's also accompanied with these thinly sliced rice cakes, as well as this shredded beef and shredded scrambled eggs that's added on top of it. It's a simple dish. It's really popular during New Year's Day when Korean families gather together and they eat this stuff. It's really something that you should try if you want to try some authentic Korean soup. So if you see this at a restaurant, then I would recommend get this dish. Number 2, galbitang.
That looks like a bone-in meat.
Galbitang is short rib beef soup, and it's the meat that they use for Korean barbecue short ribs.
Yeah.
But rather than grilling it, they boil it in a soup in order to make a soup out of it. And oftentimes it is accompanied by radish to give it a very nice taste as well. And this is actually another one of my favorites as well that I love to eat at home and eat at Korean restaurants as well. So if you love soup, especially beef soup, and you see this on the menu at a Korean restaurant, then go ahead and order it. You can thank me later. Number 3, pajun.
What is that?
Pajun is basically Korean pancake.
Oh.
It's made with flour, eggs, scallion, and it's very popular with 2 different choices. One of them is seafood and another one is kimchi. But at the very least, I would recommend that you get kimchi pajun, kimchi pancake. It has a really nice crispy texture to it, and it just feels so good in your mouth. I mean, especially with that kimchi flavor that gives it a slightly spicy and slightly sour taste to it. It's an awesome addition to any meal that you can order at a Korean restaurant. So please take my word for it and order.
I'll be honest, kimchi, like I tried it. I had bibimbap, and it came with kimchi as one of the things that came with it. And I ate it, and I was like, all right, spicy, and also has a tanginess to it, but it's fermented, right? That gets me. Fermented foods, meaning foods that they just, like, let rot. That's what it is, right? You're letting it decay or rot in something, and then it changes the flavor profile, but, like, doesn't that sound gross? It's decaying and then you're eating it. I mean, I'm sure it's safe. They wouldn't eat it if they were all going to get sick from it or whatever, right? But I don't know, man. Like, the pancake looked good. I don't know if I want fermented cabbage in my pancake. And I'm adventurous. I tried it again. I didn't hate it or anything, you know? But anyway.
This dish if you go to a Korean restaurant. Number 4, bulgogi. Bulgogi
I've had
is
that, and that's
basically
very
thinly
good.
sliced beef, usually made out of sirloin, and it's cooked with a soy sauce that's kind of sweet.
Yes,
and
it's a sweet
when
meat.
it comes served to you, oftentimes you'll see that there's a lot of broth inside of it that kind of cooks out of it. And it's a great meal that you don't necessarily have to get in a Korean barbecue restaurant. If you go to a non-Korean barbecue restaurant, they will serve it to you as a lunch or dinner item. You pack that in with some rice and some kimchi and all that other panchan, which is side dishes, and you got an awesome meal there for you. So this is one you definitely need to get, especially if you are a meat fan. Number 5, sundavu. Sundavu is spicy tofu soup, usually made with soft tofu, and that's cooked in a spicy soup where you can adjust it according to however level of spiciness you like it. I usually like to get mine medium because I don't like to burn my mouth, but however way you like it, it is an awesome dish to get.
Seems interesting. I'd probably try that.
By your choice of seafood or beef, or you can get both of them. This is something that I would highly recommend, that if you like tofu and you like spicy soup, then this is a match made in heaven. See this on the menu? Get it. Number 6. Bibimbap.
Bibimbap.
Bibimbap is basically rice that's mixed in with cooked vegetables, assorted vegetables like spinach, bean sprouts, shaved carrots, mushrooms, and it's all kind of mixed together with some sesame oil, as well as the sauce called gochujang, which is a sauce like a red kind of sauce that kind of...
Why? His music got way too loud. This guy needs better production quality. It got way too loud. It's like, what? What are you saying?
Gives it a little bit of a spicy flavor to it. So you put it in and you mix it all around, and basically, bam, that's your meal, and you eat it just like that. It's also another one of the more popular, actually casual Korean dishes that you can try. So if you've never had bibimbap before, then this is something that
I tried it and I liked
recommend,
it.
especially in a Korean restaurant that can serve it to you in a stone pot where the rice is out sizzling.
I did not have it in a stone pot. I would like to have it fresh. That's probably really good.
Number 7, japchae.
I've seen that.
Japchae is
I've eaten those noodles.
potato noodles that's cooked and that's mixed with other vegetables as well.
Oh, it's sweet. I had no idea they were sweet potato noodles, because that came with one of my dishes I had. And I was like, I wonder what kind of noodles they are, because they're kind of sweet. They were sweet potato. Oh, that's neat. Okay. Japchae. Japchae. Okay, japchae.
The spinach and mushrooms and carrots, and oftentimes they do add in some shredded scrambled eggs as well, topped with some sesame seeds. Japchae is one of the more popular Korean dishes that you can eat, even as a side dish in many Korean restaurants. But
I learned something today about those noodles. That's neat.
A nice light meal. So if you see this on the menu and you are a noodle fan and you really love that sesame flavor, then I would recommend that you get this dish if you go to a Korean restaurant. Number 8, tteokbokki.
What the hell is that?
Tteokbokki is spicy
Pasta?
rice cakes.
Oh, rice
cakes. These rectangular shaped rice cakes that are cooked in this spicy thick sauce that has 2 distinct flavors which you taste in your mouth. The spiciness and the sweetness. This is a popular dish that's found all over Korea, and if you go to big cities, or even small cities in Korea, you'll find them as part of street food.
Yeah, I want that. I agree.
In Korean restaurants as well.
Thomas just says, get this for feasting with Phil. Yeah, I would love to try some of those. The restaurant we order from doesn't have all that, though. It has, like, the bibimbap, and they have bulgogi, and they have a couple other things, but it's not as wide of a selection as he's describing. I would like trying some of these. Like that rice cake, I would totally like to try that. Yeah.
So if you like spicy, you like rice cakes, and you see this on the menu of a Korean restaurant, then go ahead, order it. You'll love it. Number 9, salongtang. Salongtang stands for ox bone soup. It's a soup that's cooked with the bones of an ox, and it takes hours in order to make the soup. And after they filter it out, it makes for a very smooth, clean taste. And they top it off by putting some cooked radish inside, beef.
I would like to try that, because if you remember, I tried the oxtail pho, and it was absolutely disgusting. It smelled so bad, and I had one sip and I almost vomited. So I would probably like to try that, because that sounds like a better preparation than what I had.
Plank, green onions, and then you have a nice meal right there. Served, of course, with some rice on the side and maybe even some kimchi. This is a dish that I would most recommend, especially if you like garbitang. Then this is also another dish that kind of tastes like it, but is just as good. Don't miss this dish if you go to a Korean restaurant. And finally, number 10, samgyetang. Samgyetang stands for ginseng chicken soup.
Ooh.
It's basically a Cornish hen chicken that's stuffed with Korean rice, ginseng, and some other ingredients, and cooked in a soup, which makes a chicken soup Korean style.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I've never had a Cornish hen, but I've heard they're very, very delicious, you know, chicken. And I would like to try that in that soup. That sounds great, man. All right, let's continue. That was a good video. I learned about Korean cuisine.
Welcome to Failure Management 101. Today, we teach communication between Asian parents and children. When Nathan says,
I want to get a tattoo,
what he really means is, I want to engage in illegal activities and never get a job again.
Hey Dad, can I have some ice in my water?
What he means to say is, I want a stomach ache and constipation.
I'm going to hang out with my friend.
That means I'm going to engage in illegal activities.
What?
I got an A-.
I have no hope of a future job career and will always be a farmer.
I
Wow.
got the highest grade in the class.
I'm in the dumbest class in school.
I was late to school today.
Please smack me with whatever convenient footwear you're currently wearing.
I don't want to take piano lessons anymore.
I hate you.
Can I become a pianist?
I aspire to be homeless.
Wow.
Play some video games.
Skid Row sounds nice.
$10.
I wish to buy drugs.
I want to take a gap year and go travel and go find myself.
I accidentally thought I was from a white family.
I just got a girlfriend.
I'm throwing away all career prospects and going to live under a bridge.
I'm 22. I'm still single.
I have never talked to a girl and have no hope of marriage.
I'm not hungry for dinner.
Disown me.
University for
I aspire to be homeless.
I want to study music.
I aspire to be homeless.
Yes.
I want to study fashion design.
I aspire to be homeless.
I want to study film.
I think we're out of milk.
I listen to K-pop every now and then.
I enjoy watching men dance with their shirts half off.
Have a hug?
Give me fruit.
Mom,
What?
Dad, do you love me?
Give me sliced oranges.
I
What?
feel like it's sometimes difficult for you guys to express emotions.
Give me specifically sliced oranges on a plate.
Sorry,
What the
I was
hell?
about an hour later than expected.
I got kidnapped and brought to an underground boxing ring full of illegal activities and bad people. Also, I've landed myself on 3 FBI lists and have an international arrest
This is a
warrant.
joke, Sid.
If you wish to see anything translated, put it in the comments.
All right. That was pretty funny. And I like a quick comedy video. I like that. What channel is this? This is Steven. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it He? But we've seen many videos from him before. Pretty funny. Okay. Obviously, this is over-exaggerated for comedic purposes. Don't take it too seriously. Okay. So next is the actual trailer for the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake, which I haven't seen the trailer, so this will be interesting to watch. I just hope it doesn't get claimed for music, but I guess we'll see. Not actual gameplay footage? Well, fuck it then. We're not watching this. Forget it. Let's skip it. Is it an ant? It's an ant. Snake eater, sucking the scales. Are you sure this isn't an ad for Grounded? This is a hell of a trailer. I had not seen this. Not actual gameplay. You don't get to control the parrot in the game. Well, that I want it then. Uh-oh. Snake eater. And then look at this. What a battle. What an epic battle this is. Creatures fighting each other for survival. What I like is this has nothing to do with the game at all. Like, literally zero to do with the game. Snake Eater.
What a thrill.
Yes, the song. They have it. They have the song.
Darkness and silence through the night.
The friggin' James Bond intro for no good reason.
What a thrill.
Yes.
I'm searching and I'll melt into you.
That's it. Snake Eater coming to PS5, but we don't know when. I'm definitely gonna play it. I'm definitely gonna play it. I just don't know. By the way, what's with this headband? Why does his headband have wrinkles like it's his forehead? What the hell? They turned his headband into his forehead. What is that? That's like a weird manga animation, the way they drew that. There's no way his headband would ever look like that. Anyway, I wonder when this is gonna come out. But I'll play it for sure. I will. I'm interested in it. Okay.
Today, most video game companies use emulation in some form. But before emulation went mainstream, it had a seedy reputation. It existed in a legal gray area and was hardly mentioned by video game news outlets. It was relegated to the video game underworld. But as more and more people bought personal computers, video game emulators enjoyed a small but growing fan base. To put it simply, emulation uses software to mimic hardware. So, for example, gamers could play Super Mario Bros. On their computer without owning a Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh my god!
Early emulation software was glitchy, but it was free, and it exposed people all across the world to new games. North American gamers played titles never released in their continent, fully translated. Players also got an inside
Whoa.
look at how much games changed during the localization
Holy
process.
crap, look at that.
Especially the Nintendo titles. But was it all legal? Well, people weren't sure, but they weren't sure if it was illegal either. News and updates came via message boards, chat rooms, or just word of mouth. In 1994, a new beast entered the industry,
Right.
the Sony PlayStation. The PlayStation was Sony's first video game console, and it was one of the most technologically
You are not
advanced
ready. I
on the
remember
market.
that
By
campaign.
1997,
Ad campaign.
PlayStation emulators began appearing on the internet in the form of PS Emu and Psych. However, these emulators didn't stack up well against the PlayStation. They suffered from compatibility issues and were updated infrequently. Sony wasn't worried at all. The average video game player didn't even know about emulators. Sony figured emulation was too niche and complex for the average consumer. But that all changed in 1999 when two companies developed PlayStation emulators for commercial release. Bleem and the Connectix Virtual Game Station stood out from the crowd. They were ready for prime time, and they weren't free. Suddenly, Sony didn't feel so safe and took both companies to court. Bleem and Connectix took Sony head on, and surprisingly, they won.
Wow.
But it was a classic case of money is power. In the end, Sony's persistent litigation and clever tactics ultimately killed both products.
Wow.
But their fight changed emulation forever and brought it out from the shadows of video game culture. We begin with a look at the Connectix Virtual Game Station.
Well, this is a very, very long video, so I don't think I want to watch the whole thing. Maybe just go to Bleem. Bleem is the one I know about. I saw Bleem in stores at this time. What, 99? Totally I saw that in stores. I remember that logo, so I knew all about it. Okay, here we go, Bleem.
In 1988, he wrote a Commodore 64 emulator for the Amiga computer. Later, he ported Dragon's Lair to the Amiga,
Oh my
as well
God,
as
that looks
Doom
terrible.
to the Super Nintendo. What did Bleem stand for? That remains a mystery,
Uh.
but many refer to it as the best little emulator ever made.
Oh, that could be.
Bleem seemed
Sure.
too good to be true. Some thought Linden faked the leaked screenshots. The system requirements seemed optimistically low. Bleem needed a Pentium 166 MHz processor, which was more than 2 years old at the time, only 16 megabytes of RAM, and just 3 megabytes of disk space.
Wow.
Incredibly, Linden promised hardware acceleration capabilities. Bleem took advantage of a computer's video card to increase the resolution of a game, smooth out textures, and more. But when the Bleem beta leaked in January of 1999, the doubters were silenced. It spread like wildfire. Users were amazed at how well it emulated the PlayStation.
So it
Word
was super
spread
good.
that Bleem would soon become a commercial product. On March 21st, they released a Bleem demo. They also opened up pre-orders on their website. Bleem suddenly seemed more and more legitimate. In an interview with IGN, Bleem president David Herpelsheimer was asked if he anticipated any legal trouble from Sony, who had recently taken Connectix to court for the virtual game station. Herpelsheimer confidently said no. For starters, Bleem was programmed legally. Linden had completely reverse-engineered the PlayStation in order to make Bleem.
Wow.
The software also required the actual retail discs in order to play games,
So there you go, you still have to
Bleem
buy the
didn't
games.
promote piracy. Herpelsheimer also claimed Bleem only worked with, quote, about 80% of the PlayStation library. But none of this saved Bleem from Sony. On April 2nd, less than 2 weeks after pre-orders opened,
Wow.
Sony filed suit
Already
against
sued.
Bleem for a variety of claims, including violation of intellectual property and copyright infringement. This happened in conjunction with Sony's case against Connectix. But unlike Connectix, Bleem was a brand new startup company with only a handful of employees. No one believed they could put up a fight against the Sony juggernaut. Despite the David and Goliath dynamics, many in the industry sided with Sony. Gary Whitta of PC Gamer said, "No one seriously thinks Bleem is going to get in Sony's way. The concern is if PC gaming becomes more popular and emulators become better technologically. If I was Sony, I'd probably release the hounds." But Bleem surprised everyone when they didn't back down. In April, Sony attempted twice to get a temporary restraining order to prevent Bleem's release. They were denied both times. Tensions reached a boiling point the following month, when Bleem suddenly released their product at the E3 Expo.
Oh, wow.
At their booth, they showed off footage of Gran Turismo on their emulator. Sony confronted them and a shouting match ensued. The Expo asked Bleem to remove their monitors from the floor. But this was a minor setback. Within the first month, Bleem sold more than 50,000 copies at a retail price of $29.99. By July, it was in stores like Best Buy, Electronics Boutique.
That's just crazy. So if you have a decent PC, you can play all PS1 games, well, 80% of PS1 games for $30 instead of the $200-300 console. And it runs better and looks better than if you were running it on said console. So what ended up happening? Like, I'm curious how they finally got defeated. Let's look here.
Copies of Bleemcast. It was a huge blow to Bleem. By November of 2001, with sales declining and further litigation on the horizon, Bleem officially shut down. After the shutdown, its website featured a Bleem gravestone with Sonic standing over it.
Wow.
Ironically enough, they removed the image to prevent any legal action from Sega.
One of the most common questions about these two cases is, why did Sony care so much? The answer is licensing fees, which is one of the biggest moneymakers for a console manufacturer. If the virtual game station in Bleem took off, developers could make PlayStation games without going through Sony, thereby avoiding a licensing fee. While Sony didn't win the legal battles against either company, their strategy of constant litigation won in the end. In the years that
I
followed,
want you to think about that. Like, Sony actually didn't have a legal leg to stand on, but they just kept bringing them to court to the point where they couldn't keep defending themselves and they went out of business. How messed up is that? Right? Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway. All right, well, interesting. All right. We'll continue on with one more hour of DSP versus the internet right after this. I hope you'll join me for part 5 and 6 coming right up. Thanks for watching. See you then.